This is one of the best recipes I make. I make it every year, more than once a year. Use high quality ingredients, follow the directions, and you will not be disappointed. Half teaspoon of salt. 3/4 of a cup of dark brown sugar. Here I have 3 cups of flour, 425 grams. I'll add that in about thirds. Now I go in with my hands and kind of break out those clods of butter a little bit. Okay, well, put it in there to hold down the parchment paper. Here we have the makings of the caramel. You've got your stick and a half of butter, 3/4 of a cup. We've got 3 tablespoons or a 1/4 cup of cream, 3 tablespoons of sugar, half teaspoon of vanilla. Here's a half teaspoon of salt. Here's 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of honey, and 3 cups of pecans. So we'll start by melting the butter. You want to put the sugar in there now when it might burn. So we'll get some butter melted first. Here's 3/4 of a cup of raw honey, crystallized, natural honey. Turn that down now. We'll let that butter and honey melt before we add the brown sugar, white sugar, and the cream and salt. The pecans and the vanilla go in after it's cooked up. Okay, I'm going to put in the white sugar, 3 tablespoons. White sugar, that's a 1/4 of a cup. You want to make sure all the sugar is dissolved well before you bring it to a boil, or you might have a gritty filling. I pretty much stir this constantly to make sure nothing burns, even though it's on a low heat. Put in some salt, half a teaspoon. And we can go ahead and add the cream. This is on a very low heat. The original recipe called for this to cook for a minute once it boils, but I boil it so slowly that I generally cook it at least 5 minutes so that it's stiff enough when you have the final product. You can see it just starting to boil around the edges very slightly and slowly. I'm not counting that yet as boiling. You can see it starting in the middle just a little bit. Turn down the heat just a little bit. And you can see that slowed it down a little. You can barely see that flame. Okay, that's been 5 minutes. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit to finish the boil. You'll see it start to take off a little bit. Still gentle. All right, that's about 6 minutes, and I'll turn that off. Now you can't add the vanilla while it's hot because it'll just boil off. So what I do is add some of the pecans. That'll cool it down because they're room temperature. Throw in the vanilla. Doesn't boil. You can smell that. Trying to get some of the goo out to the ends, the sloppier stuff, because it wants to sit in the middle and not flow out. So I'll put it out on the edge, let it flow to the middle. Here it is at almost 23 minutes. You can see it's bubbly, but it hasn't quite browned up enough, so I'm going to leave it in another 7 minutes or so. And now that sits and cools for about 75 minutes. I did wrap a little bit of aluminum foil around the bottom edge to keep that corner from getting more done than the rest. But when that gets cool, that'll harden up and stiffen up, and we'll take it out as one big piece and cut it up. So it's been about an hour and a half. This thing is set up, so I'll move it over to here, and I just pick up the paper and move it to this cutting board. And then we take off the outer section, which is different than the rest, and make it available to people, but separately. It's some really nice stuff. So I'll just move that out of the way, grab these, and these are the sides. And I think I'll just put those over here. Take this, and I'm just going to run down it about 1 inch for me. I mean, some people could make, that'd be nice to take to a potluck or something where you have to bring a dish, or Christmas or something, and just bring it like that with a knife and let people cut off what they want. Some people want a 2-inch square. So there's a plate all finished, and there's the ones I haven't put on a plate yet or packaged up.